Diablo 4 patch notes, version 1.0.3. This is the first major update to Diablo 4. This includes substantial changes to class balance. It changes a lot of gameplay things like nightmare dungeons, experience rewards, things like that. So this is miscellaneous bugs. This is UI bugs. This is quest bugs. This is local co-op bugs. This is gameplay fix bugs. This is just bugs. Everybody get it? All this stuff, I've looked through them. Nothing's really that substantial. Very niche things happened for sure. That's about it. That's about all I can say. Other than that, not really worth going over. Okay, experience rewards. Significantly increased the experience awarded for completed nightmare dungeons. Significantly increased the experience gained from killing monsters in nightmare dungeons. Helltide chests now provide substantially more bonus experience when opened. Significantly increased rewarded experience from completing individual whispers across the board. Fixed an issue where no experience was rewarded for completing the holdout style event that can occur after finishing dungeon objectives. So, basically, nightmare dungeons give a lot more XP now. I think a lot of people don't want to admit to themselves the intended playstyle right now. The intended playstyle for Diablo 4 isn't to just do mass mob killing. I mean, sure, once you complete your build, sure, that's what they want. I mean, do whatever, right? Like, once you beat the game, you beat the game. That's always how not MOBAs, what is this? ARPG. That's always how ARPGs will work, right? Like, once your game is completed, then, like, you know, you're completed, right? But the intended way to play the game is what I'm trying to get into here. The intended way to play the game is to use nightmare dungeons, go above your level, and kill enemies that are above your level. Then they're more difficult, there's less of them, and the whole intent is to dodge their abilities, to stun them, to that sort of stuff, right? So the intent is that they want you to be doing these high level nightmare dungeons, and they want you to be doing them and fighting less enemies and using more player skill, if you want to call it that, to beat them. If you want to just wave clear through waves of enemies, then that's not, sorry to say, but that doesn't really seem to be what Diablo 4 was designed for. That seems to be more of a Diablo 3 thing. And I think that's good, because I never really liked Diablo 3. I found it very tedious and boring. So I much prefer the Diablo 4 style of play. And I actually really like here that they're now rewarding playing the game as they intended, because I think that was actually one of the things, in my opinion, that was kind of weird, was that they intended you to go beyond your level, to do these high level dungeons, to push yourself to your limit, but then, like, you didn't really get much experience for it. You didn't really get many rewards for it, right? So it's good that they're now pushing their intended playstyle a bit better. Helltide roaming bosses will now consistently drop higher quality loot. Okay, that's something that people noticed. If you killed the Helltide bosses, it took a very, very, very long time to kill them, and they didn't do anything. There was literally no point. Players can now teleport to their nightmare dungeon directly through the map. That's really good. This goes with significantly rewarding nightmare dungeons, and now allowing you to teleport to nightmare dungeons. This means that nightmare dungeons are now significantly better for everyone to do. Weekly bonus caches from world bosses no longer be a level requirement for opening. That's good, because that's literally one of the reasons I actually stopped playing the game. I don't think I've played it in like a week and a half. Literally one of the reasons I stopped playing it is I kept doing world bosses, and I got 2 of these caches, and it might seem petty, but it required me to be level 80, and I was kind of bored of my characters and done by like level 70. Right? There's nothing to do. Now, I do have a significant complaint that the end game of this game is just not finished. A lot of people disagree with me and said, oh, but ARPGs, they're always meant to just be grinding stuff. But that's not what they pitched the game as. They pitched the game, they sold it, they marketed it as a competitor to Lost Ark, to have the best late game ever, right? And then we go and we find out that no, there's basically no end game, and it's just grinding out, and that's it. Like, World Tier 1, boring. World Tier 2 is kind of exciting, then like 30 levels of boring. World Tier 3 has maybe 5 to 10 levels of exciting, then it gets boring. World Tier 4 gets exciting for maybe 10 levels, then it gets boring. And then there's nothing to do. So, like, the problem is there's no more bosses or anything to do. So I felt no need to grind to level 80 to get these caches open. And I know it feels petty, but I just got really annoyed by it. Developers note, we're currently working on increasing the monster and elite density of endgame content and plan to introduce this change early in Season 1. So, even though I literally just said this, I also do kind of agree with this. Although, I hope they keep it balanced, because right now, so one of my major frustrations with the endgame content, and again, another reason why I kind of stopped playing the game so much, there's a current pretty substantial issue where the most challenging packs of enemies are just a shitload of low-level archers. Low-level archers will kill the player very easily, very quickly, and don't really seem to have any way to deal with them. So if they make endgame elites and stuff like that more dense, I'm a bit worried because a lot of people are already struggling. For example, when you fight spirits and it just spawns 20 archers and they're all just plinking away at you like they're playing StarCraft. I mean, that's a joke I always make. It feels like they're playing StarCraft and you're playing Diablo. They just have like 20 archers like running you down, gunning you down, and you're trying to run away from them. Like, what the hell? Okay. We're continuing our efforts to make old class builds feel fun and powerful with another round of balance updates. In particular, we've seen community feedback stating that basic skills aren't impactful enough in combat. That's true. Basic skills have been woefully underpowered, and basically, from what I've seen, every single high-end strategy has involved never using basic skills and modifying their builds in a way that they don't do the left click, right click, left click, right click playstyle that Blizzard seems to want to push. But they just do pure right click. And first off, you shouldn't be able to do pure right click because that wasn't the intended function to begin with. The mere fact that they've enabled people to ignore basic skills, the mere fact that so many people have managed to ignore basic skills means that at some point, Blizzard has actually screwed up their balance. Now, sure, you should maybe be able to eventually do some janky build like that, but it shouldn't be that the ideal and strongest build for every single class is to ignore the intended left-click, right-click functions. These changes will not change the fundamental relationship between basic and core skills. We hope that they help smooth out the leveling experience while explore additional ways to strengthen them. Well, the additional way to strengthen them would be to make it so you can't just generate enough resource to never use left-click. I feel like Blizzard is caught in between. Like, people were like, I don't like this new system, and then rather than make the new system feel better, they just put in a shitload of ways to ignore it by enabling you to generate as many resources as you want without left click, right? And so the problem is now they basically, because so many people have leveled up and so many people have gotten these builds that never need to generate resources with basic skills, they can't exactly go back and nerf those builds, right? But now they need to make basic skills good. But basic skills are supposed to do less damage because they generate. And then right clicks, use. Left, generate, right click, use. Get it? But do you see what I mean? It's like they're trying to make left clicks good, but I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. We're also increasing the power of some skills that players feel lagging behind their peers, which are a lot. The balance in the game right now is absolutely miserable. I don't say that to be mean. I say that as a matter of fact. The balance in the game right now is absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. Some classes only have a few viable skills. Other classes might have 3 viable builds, maybe. And some classes, 90% of their skills are just outright bad. For a game that doesn't really have many abilities to begin with, having so many of them being outright bad is not good. I'd wager half the skills in the game right now are just mathematically never worth using. As we look forward to future updates, we're monitoring other heavily discussed topics, such as minion survivability and build parity. Please keep sending us your feedback, and we'll see you in Sanctuary. Yeah. So Barbarian Lunging Strike goes from 30% to 33% damage. That's 10% more damage. Fury generated from 9 to 10. So a little bit more Fury generated, a little bit more base damage on Lunging Strike. Bash. Enhanced Bash generates more Fortify. Bash generates more Fury. I think of all the left clicks, Bash was the most usable. I know a lot of people phased out Bash to just go permanent Hammer of the Ancients, but that kind of seems to be a problem once again with the fact you can generate too many resources. Frenzy, base damage increase from 20 to 22, so that's a 10% increase. Flay, once again, a 10% damage increase. Fury generation up. Vulnerable chance up. Double swing, base damage increase. So this is actually good because Frenzy into double swing. This was a build, and it was a pretty decent build, but it just didn't scale, and it really felt like it didn't scale. Like, this is what I'm talking about with the bad balance. The problem wasn't that the build was bad, so to speak. It's that the numbers were just low. The build had a lot of synergy, and it had a lot of things it could do, but when you really looked at it, and you really compared it to other builds, it just did significantly less damage. Hammer of the Ancients right now is probably a bit overtuned. In fact, not probably, it's definitely overtuned, and a large amount of that is simply because you can generate too many resources to continue to spam it, right? So, but even if Hammer of the Ancients wasn't overtuned, is what I'm saying, then Frenzy into Double Swing would be bad. Well, maybe it's good now, but we'll see, right? It was just bad, because it just didn't do enough damage. The more you leveled up, the harder it was to do content with this build, because it just didn't scale well. Kick cooldown reduced from 17 to 13. That's good. I don't think I ever used Kick. I used it in the beta, and then I never felt the need to get it again. Base damage dealt to enemies knocked back into terrain increased from 54 to 70%. It's decent, but clearing out packs of enemies is not really... Kick... I mean, the cooldown reduction is really good. This allows it to be way more usable. But I'm going to be blunt. I'm not sure that pack clearing is really so needed right now. Like, it's not like clearing out packs of enemies isn't so hard that giving Kick additional pack clearing is going to make it better. Charge, enhanced charge, damage dealt to enemies knocked back into terrain increased. Okay, once again, that doesn't do anything. It's pretty bad. This doesn't do anything. Not really. I don't think so. And I've used Barbarian, so I can comment on this more closely. Iron Skin. Enhanced Iron Skin's barrier increased from 10% to 20% maximum health. Now, I thought Iron Skin was good. It's not that Iron Skin is bad. Not in my opinion. It was that shouts are just too good. Unless they nerf shouts, I don't think that anyone's going to go with a different build. Now, they nerf shouts, but I don't think they are. So the problem is that shouts are too good, which means nothing else can be viable. Now, of course, people are going to yell at me and say, why don't you make everything overpowered? Because then you just power creep Barbarian. And then you have to end up making harder content so Barbarian doesn't just cheese through all the content by being overpowered. Like, a game should be balanced to be fun. A game should be challenging, and then you overcome that challenge by building properly, by playing properly. A game shouldn't be really easy because every build is so overpowered that just you can do anything, and oh wait, all the Diablo just like he just dies because he looks at you and he's like, oh man, player character, you're so great and cool. God, I love you. You're so sexy, and he just dies in front of you. And then the princess comes out and goes, player character, you're amazing. Let's have sex. Anyway, Iron Skin's significantly better now. So, Iron Skin, in my opinion, was already one of the better abilities, especially for leveling. I think, once again, late game, shouts just replaced everything, but that's a shout problem. Call the Ancients. Prime Call the Ancients bonus attack speed increased from 10% to 20%. Neat, I guess. Iron Maelstrom, this ability sucked, and I literally never even bothered to try to use it. I know that sounds mean, but I just looked at the ability, and I was like, no thank you. Cooldown reduced from 60 to 45. I believe you can reduce its cooldown by 1 second every time you swap weapons. So this 60 to 45 is actually even more substantial than you're thinking, because once you get some cooldown reduction, and once you have the flat cooldown from swapping your weapons, this means you can get into more Iron Maelstroms more easily. Prime Iron Maelstrom, bonus critical chance increase from 10 to 30%. Prime Iron Maelstrom, bonus critical strike damage increase from 20 to 40%. So you get more crit, you get more crit damage. Okay. Bounding Slam, base damage increase from 75 to 112%. Which one was Bounding Slam? Honest to God? That's your mount ability? Okay, they increased the mount ability. I'm not crazy. I was thinking to myself, I played this class a lot. Do I not remember this? Okay. The blow includes changes to flat damage legendary aspects. These affect scaled item power. For example, at 820 item power, Bull Cathos' Earthquake increases from blah blah to blah blah. Okay. So Bull Cathos, Earthquake flat damage increased. Okay. So basically, the low roll on Bull Cathos, I'm going to be dead honest. I do not remember what all of these affect. I guess I could Google these. Okay, fine. Bull Cathos. I'm going to have to wiki this, aren't I? So this is Earthquake. Okay, it said Earthquake here, but I just want to double check it. So basically, the Earthquake aspect low roll is much higher, and the high roll is a bit higher. So you shouldn't be able to low roll a Bull Cathos anymore and just have it be useless, which ironically I did do. Basically, let's see. Earthquake low rolls better. Dust Devils low roll and high roll battle. I believe that's for Double Strike. So Double Strike got buffed, and then it got buffed again, so it does way more damage. So that's good. Wind Slasher, Dust Devil, Dust Devil, Dust Devil. Okay, all the Dust Devil things got buffed, which is good because I think basically across the board, all Dust Devils were actually pretty bad. Iron Warrior, damage reduction increased. Now that is... I'm getting the Iron Warrior. Isn't that for... Yeah, that's Iron Skin gains Unstoppable. Okay, so the Unstoppable... Okay, so this is why I said Iron Skin was good. It's just that shouts were better. I think Blizzard is making a huge mistake here, actually. So this is an aspect that gives you damage reduction after you use Iron Skin. So in addition to the flat buff to Iron Skin, and then buffing its aspect to give more damage reduction, Iron Skin is significantly better, but the problem is, once again, without buffing... without nerfing shouts, shouts are the only good ability because they're the best. They're better than everything. Overkill, damage increased. Hellhammer, flat damage increased. I'm not going to look through all of these. I don't know every single unique in every single aspect. I know a lot of them. I don't know all of them. Okay, Druids. Druids had some of the worst skill balance in the game. While I was playing a Druid, I thought to myself, wow, there are so few viable builds. This sucks. So hopefully they go through these and do some work. Earth Spike. Base damage increased from 16 to 17%. Spirit Generation increased. Fierce Earthquake Fortify increase. Earth Spike was pretty bad, and I don't think going from 16 to 17% is going to make it good. Wind Shear from 17 to 18 and Spirit Generation by 1. This is pretty bad. Claw, base damage increase from 20 to 22%, Spirit Generation from 10 to 11, Wild Claw, double attack chance from 10 to 15, Fierce Claw, okay. Basically, Claw got significantly buffed, getting more damage, and then getting its little aspects at the end. So it goes from 10 to 15% poison damage, and then in addition, the double hit chance went from 10 to 15% as well. So... I guess what I'm saying is I'm pretty confused here, actually, because I thought Claw was already their best left click. It had the best... I'm not saying it was good, but it was the best one. Their lucky hit chance was higher than all the other skills. Their damage was higher than all the other skills. And the two ones that were kind of useless barely got buffed, and then the good one got buffed the most. Maul, base damage increased from 20 to 22. Spirit Generation increased from 14 to 15. Enhanced Maul, Fortify increased from 2 to 3%. I mean, it's buffs. I think the Claw one is good, definitely. And I do believe there are actually some late game builds that use Claw, so long as you get some uniques. I do pay attention to the subreddit sometimes and people's builds and stuff like that, right? I do pay attention to that sometimes. I do think Claude did have a late game build that was viable. Okay. Lightning Storm. Enhanced Lightning Storm duration increased from 4 to 6 seconds. Primal Lightning Storm's chance to mobilize enemies increased from 8 to 12%. It's a buff. Doesn't do that much. I'm sorry. Shred, third attack We're buffing Shred? Huh. Enhanced Shred healing increased from 1 to 2% max life. Okay, that's interesting because I thought they nerfed that because it made Werewolf invulnerable to, like, not... Like, basically, Werewolf just couldn't die unless you one-shot it. And now they're, like, seemingly reverting it to Werewolf doesn't die unless you one-shot it. Okay. Third attack... Base damage increased from 60 to 70%. Raging Shred's base damage increased from 51 to 70%. Primal Shred's bonus critical strike damage increased from 20 to 30%. Okay, I'm very confused on this because Shred was already, like, really good. I don't think Werewolf was like, oh my god, the best ever, right? But, like, Shred was really good. Really good. It was mostly that the left-click claw wasn't that amazing. I thought Shred was fine. I thought. Oh well, I mean, a buff is a buff. It's just the increased healing I'm a little bit concerned about, considering that Werewolf already has a problem where it's boring because it can't die. It can't die, it just didn't really deal that much damage. It did deal damage later in the game, but until you got some aspects and stuff like that, it didn't really do much damage. I would have preferred they nerfed some of the aspects on Werewolf and then it nerfed some of the aspects on Werewolf Shred and then buffed its base damage so that it overall did more damage, but especially while leveling it did more damage, right? But, I mean, just giving them more healing, I mean, that's fine. I like healing. I'm big pro Healy guy. It just Werewolf already kind of had a problem where, you know, it was almost invulnerable unless the AI just stun locked you. Wolves cooldown reduced. Ferocious Wolfpack lucky hit chance increased from 10 to 40%. This is useless. Wolves are terrible. They don't scale. They don't do damage. They don't do anything. They don't seem to do anything at all. I don't understand what's happening with wolves, but they're terrible. They're absolutely monstrously terrible. Reducing the cooldown on their active is okay. That'll help while leveling for sure, but they're just no good. Hurricane base damage increased from 97.5% to 134%. That is a substantial increase to damage, and hopefully actually makes Hurricane good, because that's big damage. Rabies base poisoning increase. I'm not even gonna list the numbers. It's useless. Rabies is bad. It's long cooldown, doesn't do much damage, non-interactive with any of their other abilities. And I have serious complaints about Druid because so many of their abilities do not interact with the rest of their kit. Rabies is one of the biggest examples of this. Rabies doesn't interact with the rest of Druid's kit. You just use it whenever it's available. You just, anytime Rabies is available, you just go, Rabies, and that's it. That is the entirety of your interaction. Period. That's it. Like, there's skills like Iron Skin or War Stomp or Shouts, they at least feel like they're interacting with the rest of your kit and doing something. Rabies is just that weird ability that does damage, but once you have all your legendary aspects and stuff, probably doesn't do enough damage to really give a shit about. And all it does is damage. It doesn't do anything other than damage. It's not interesting. Not to mention, it's supposed to be like a weird wave clear ability. Like, it's supposed to clear out packs of enemies. But, like, it's not really that good at that. Increasing its damage is nice, but it feels like they totally skipped over the issue of the ability fundamentally. It's like from a fundamental level, they were like, this ability sucks. What do we do? Increase its damage by like 50%. Now that's good. The poisoning went from 53 to 76%. That's like a 50% increase to its poisoning damage. That's good. But the thing is, 76%, My dude, that is not that high. That is not even, like, this can hopefully tell you how absolutely goddamn terrible this ability was, that they are increasing its damage by 50%, and I look at it, and I still think to myself, wow, that is not a lot of damage. Cataclysm. Now, look, if they did something like enemies affected by rabies are slowed by 50%, or do less damage to you, or have lucky hit chance increased on them, something, right? Something where I felt like it was interacting with the rest of my kit at all, but it doesn't interact with the rest of my kit at all. It's just a dot. It's a basic ability. I kid you not. If you swapped rabies with my left click, I might not even notice. Cataclysm. Base damage increased from 52 to 64%. Damage is damage. Lacerate. Base damage increase. This is useless. Lacerate didn't do enough damage, had too long of a cooldown, and didn't really seem to serve a purpose. Its only real goals seem to be if you are at very, very, very low HP. Like, if you suddenly got burst to 10%, you just, oh my god, you would lacerate, right? And then you would go invulnerable because you're doing your little alpha strike werewolf anime move, right? And then you would heal a bunch because you'd continue to crit because you're a druid, you're critting a lot, you're healing because lacerate heals you. Then you typically end up at like 60-70%. So it was like an emergency get out of jail button, but I don't think it even gave you unstoppable. So, like, you couldn't use it as a stun break, or maybe you could. Wait, I think actually you could use it as a stun break. I used it for only a little bit. I did slot it in randomly to beat the World 3 capstone boss. When he spawned a bunch of stuff, I used it to full heal because some of those dudes did a lot of damage. I think it has unstoppable. I can't remember now. But either way, the problem is its cooldown is too long. It's too long of a cooldown. The damage now is better. That's like what it's like a 15% damage increase. Yeah, 15% damage increase. That's okay. Petrify. Critical strike damage bonus increase from 25 to 30%. Damage is damage. Pummel. Base damage increased. Was Pummel really bad? Is that... I mean, That's the ability I'm thinking of, right? No, that's a mount ability. Which they buffed again. Okay. Passives. Bestial Rampage. Attack speed bonus increased from 20 to 25%. Okay. Damage bonus increased from 20 to 25%. Which one? Bestial Rampage. That's... Oh, no, I remember this one. Sorry. It's like there's so many names, chat. My brain is starting to turn into gray goo. I can't remember so many different names from so many different games, okay? There's only so much I can do in my life. This is the one, if you're doing a werewolf and werebear build and you're swapping between the two of them, then you can get increased attack speed and increased damage, but it wasn't really enough to matter. So going from 20 to 25% and going from 20 to 30%, this is good. And from what I remember, there's also an aspect that could give these to your pets. So maybe there's a build now where your pets are good, potentially. Because, like, Bestial Rampage got buffed and you could apply that to your pets with one aspect. There's some pet stuff you can do. I'm just thinking out loud right now. Nature's Fury chance to cast free spell increase from 20 to 30%. That's a 50% increase to the free chance, which is good. This sucked. This was awful. I looked into this the other day and I found, I was doing the math and I was like, there's almost no way that Nature's Fury is better. Like, there's almost no way mathematically possible for it to be better to use Nature's Fury than to just specialize into one damage type. Even with aspects, even with the werewolf werebear transformation, there was just no way. It was impossible. So going up 50% does mean that there's probably some aspects and builds now that can make this good. Lupine Ferocity. Okay, this is one of the biggest reasons I hate werewolf. And I really wish they would remake. If I'm remembering Lupine Ferocity, that's... Yeah. So this is every 6 hit. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the 6th hit you do in werewolf automatically crits and gets bonus damage. Sounds good, right? No. The problem is it's really goddamn tedious to use. You do left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 because you want to hit the third right click needs to be the one with the bonus damage, right? Because then your third right click does the most damage, and now it free crits, and now it gets bonus damage. Amazing, right? But it's really tedious, and it's like really annoying to like be constantly looking at the bottom of your screen. Like other classes get to look at their characters, and when you play werewolf, you have to just be sitting at the bottom of your screen, looking at that number. 1, 2, 3. Now do the right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left, and that's it. That's the character. Legendary aspects. Runeworker's Conduit. Flat damage increased from 1 to 1.4. So the 40% increase to... So lightning builds got better. Lightning crits now do better. Mangled. Chance increase from 20 to... I don't know what that is, but I'm not even going to look into it. Seismic Shift. Oh, I think that's the one that transforms one of your skills into a cooldown having skill. So cooldown went from 2.5 to 1.5 to 2 to 1. So if you high roll Seismic Shift, it might be good. Blurred Beast. Damage increase from 69 to 70 to 100%. Not really anything exciting here. Not really. The biggest thing here is Nature's Fury. Overall on Druid, I would say the biggest thing is obviously Nature's Fury might be a thing now, because going from 20 to 30% is a 50% increase. Bestial Rampage also got a bit better. Not like, oh my god, better, but yeah, a little bit better. Shred got buffed, pretty good. Claw got buffed. So Werewolf is definitely going to be better, for sure. Rabies got buffed, but no one cares. I think the biggest thing for builds, in my opinion, is Hurricane. Hurricane got a significant damage increase. Significant damage increase. That's like a 40% damage increase. And so that definitely makes Hurricane much better. Claw got way better. Shred got way better. And then Lupine Ferocity got better as well. So Werewolf builds will hopefully do better. As a Necromancer, okay, I only played a little bit of Necro because I got so bored. Necromancer, I think, is the least skills. Okay, I'm gonna say this in the most insulting way possible. It is pretty clear. It is pretty clear that Necromancer was only completed a few weeks before their open beta. I'm sorry if you believe otherwise. It's pretty obvious. They completed Necromancer a few weeks before open beta, launched it immediately afterwards, massively overtuned their abilities, toned them way down, toned most of them way too far down, and then released it, and now it's just really bad. And most of their skills are terrible. Most of their builds are terrible. There's very little synergy. The only thing you can really do with corpses is Corpse Explosion, which means that every Necromancer build eventually just becomes a Corpse Explosion build, which is boring and lame, and I don't think they know what they're doing. Let's put it that way. Bone Splinter's base damage and essence generation increased. Wasn't Bone Splinters really good? I saw a lot of people doing Bone Splinters builds. I thought Bone Splinters was good. Huh. Reap base damage increase from 12. That's useless. 13% damage. Might as well not do damage. 13% damage. Might as well not do damage. This is a problem with basic skills. They do so little damage. So little damage. Like such insignificant amounts of damage that the problem is that every build that can find a way to skip them ends up being stronger. But then the problem is they're supposed to do low damage. This is what I'm saying. There's an issue with their balance philosophy. They either need to go 100%. In fact, they should go 100% on forcing you to use basic skills. In return, basic skills should be stronger. In return, right clicks should probably be a little weaker, but then be significantly harder to generate too. So it should be about left click, right click, left click, right click. Right now, right clicks are so good that generating infinite right clicks just ends up being the best way to play. Anyway, Acolyte Reap's cooldown between corpses reduced from 5 to 4. This does nothing. I don't know. Decompose. Base skill damage increase from 30 to 33% is good. Base skill essence generate per second from 7 to 8. Corpse farm frequency. Okay, so this is the only good part here. You had to hold decompose for 2.5 seconds to get a corpse. Now you only need to hold it for 2 seconds to get a corpse. So a build with low corpse generation that just uses decompose to generate corpses is way more playable. Especially because you can maneuver more because you only need to hold it 1, 2. The extra 0.5 kind of sucked. And very frequently I'd have to drop my decompose and move my character to not die, which meant I didn't get the corpse, which I'm going to be blunt, kind of made this build suck. So this is good, but I doubt it makes decompose scale. But it's still fine, right? Like, it's a buff is a buff. Like, any help is help, right? Now, hemorrhage, base damage increase from 25 to 27. They didn't do anything interesting for hemorrhage. Bone splinters got buffed substantially. That's like a 16% increase to its damage. I don't think Blizzard realizes basic math. Bone splinters got buffed, and I think it was already one of the best skills in the game. For necromancer, that is. So I think bone splinters increasing the instance generation probably would have been fine. But the damage, I'm not sure, because bone splinters is already doing good. And considering this is like a 9% damage increase, and this is a 16% damage increase. So bone splinters got buffed substantially more than, say, hemorrhage, despite the fact that hemorrhage is bad and bone splinters is good. Do you get my problem? Okay. Sever. Initial base damage increased from 63% to 66%. And hand severs return damage increased from 25 to 40%. Sever was kind of bad. So above is above. That does mean it was 68% damage if you hit the first and second cast. Now it's 104% damage. So that is like a 15% increase to its damage on Sever if you hit both casts. That's good. Yeah. Bone Lance. Supernatural Blood Lance overpower requirements reduced to 8 to 6. Okay, I know this one because I did this build. Every 8 casts, you would get a free overpower. Now, the thing is, this build wasn't amazing, but it was actually somewhat doable. I'm not calling it the best build, but it was somewhat doable. So reducing it from 8 to 6, I think will make... Because you can do a build where you lock enemies up with like minions, and then you sit back spamming you sit back spamming Blood Lance as like your range damage ability, because it's like really long ranged, kind of a low cast time, kind of a low cast cost. You can just spam it. The overpowers do giga damage, right? So going from 8 to 6 is actually a pretty good buff. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to make it better than their other builds, but it definitely does make it more competitive. Bone Prison, cooldown reduction. That's good, because I literally never used this ability. I looked at it once, and I was like, nope. Okay. Dreadful Bone Prison's fortified increase from 5 to 8. Yep. Okay, base damage increase from 10 to 20%. Are they not doing any nerfs? I feel like there were definitely some things... that should have been nerfed. Before you guys cry foul, never nerf anything. You need to nerf things, or you end up with bad balance. If all you do is buff, you eventually power creep the content, and then the content becomes too easy, and then the new players trying to play the game will go, wow, this game's way too easy. This is boring. Anyway. Iron Maiden base damage increased from 10 to 20%. That's good. Iron Maiden sucked. Horde Iron Maiden damage bonus increased from 15 to 20%. That's good. Iron Maiden sucked. Corpse Tendrils. Blight Corpse Tendrils chance to spawn a Blood Orb increased from 30 to 35%. Blood Orbs, okay, this is another, okay. There is absolutely no way, in my opinion, there is absolutely absolutely no way that they did not just release Necromancer like a week after completing the class. There's absolutely no way. Because blood orbs are one of the most underutilized things in the game that even have an aspect that buffs them weirdly. Like, they barely show up, they barely interact with anything, and it's so weird because there's this entire mechanic in the class that just feels like someone shoved it out the door, didn't test it, didn't do anything. Oh boy, healing. In a game where by late game you're getting killed in 3 or 4 hits, oh boy, healing. You're either dead or you're alive. Now, it's not as bad as Path of Exile. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit. It's not literally one hit kills you, right? And I do agree blood orbs are useful. I do agree. It feels underutilized, and it feels like blood orbs should have been giving you like a shield or something to pick them up. Something. It just feels underutilized. Not enough skills use them. They don't spawn consistently enough. They're just a really weird out there mechanic that just feels very undercooked. Bone Spike, base damage increased from 80 to 120%. Which one was Bone Spikes? The fact that I don't even remember what it is leads me to believe that's Diablo 3. That's still Diablo 3. Okay, I'm just going to guess here that that's the dismount ability. I'm just going to guess. Minions will now always engage targets with a cast curse. That's good for targeting your minions, but I feel it also kind of forces you to use a curse, and there's only 2 curses. So now in order to fix minion AI, every single Necromancer build will have to use a curse. So you have left click, right click, skeletal minion, golem minion. There's already up to 4. Curse is 5. Army of the Dead is 6. Congratulations. We now have every single Necromancer build. Every single Necromancer build is going to be the same way if you use minions. How exciting. Passives. Kalen's Curse. Damage taken requirement reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. I think that's the one where if you aren't damaged, you do bonus damage, or minions do bonus damage. Okay. Rathma's Vigor. Healthy duration requirement reduced from 15 to 12. Okay, yeah, these are the ones I'm thinking of. Okay, so basically there's this thing where if you were healthy or you hadn't taken damage, your minions would do more damage and attack faster, I think it was. But the requirements were so harsh, let's call it, harsh, that it was really difficult to get to work. A random archer walking up and shooting you would remove like a third of your health, turn both of them off, and then like your damage would go down. So, spiked armor, thorns increased from 0.08. Okay, so the thorns, I think this gives thorns to your minions or something, right? I don't really remember. I'm going to be blunt. So many minion builds were so bad that I never tried them. I think that's it. So basically, you get more thorns, your minions get more thorns. One of them. Bursting Bones. This thing got like doubled in damage. So when a segment of Bone Prison is destroyed or expired, it deals damage. Okay, so the Bone Prison aspect literally got its damage doubled. Flesh Rending. Essence gained increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. That, after decompose spawns a corpse, gain essence. That's not a bad idea, because you can decompose. But the thing is, and this is kind of why I think Necromancer was not flashed out, you're supposed to be sitting there holding decompose on enemies. Like, if you're holding decompose on an enemy, it takes bonus damage from your minions, right? You're supposed to be sitting there holding decompose, and then all your minions do damage. So it remains to be seen, A, why does decompose not force your minions to target that enemy? B, why was that aspect of it left so weak? And then lastly, C, why are they now encouraging you to sit in decompose for even less time? But okay. Fast Blood. Ultimate cooldown reduction increased from 0.5 to 1 to 1 to 1.5. What is Fast Blood? That link is purple, so I've probably been here before and clicked that before. Blood orbs reduce your ultimate cooldown. Oh. Who cares? Okay, I haven't put much time into Rogue or really anything. So it's good that these patch notes are short. I'm assuming Sorcerer is going to be pretty long. Oh. That's disappointing. Invigorating Strike, more damage. Blade Shift, more damage. Heartseeker, more damage. Primary Heartseeker damage increased from 30 to 75%. Okay, that's substantial. That's interesting. Yeah, there's only one website that gives me anything good. What is it? Fextra Life or something? Fextra Life? Oh, for God's sake. Okay, I don't care. It's one of these. Basically, Heartseeker is significantly better. Forceful Arrow, a little bit of damage. Barrage, a little bit of damage. Caltrops, more slow. Smoke Grenade, less cooldown. Probably makes sense. I think Smoke Grenade was only ever used with Twisting Blade. And once Twisting Blade was nerfed to not just reduce everything's cooldown to 0, Smoke Grenade became significantly less usable. Rain of Arrows, cooldown reduction. Prime Rain of Arrows, imbuement potency increased. Useless. Volley, base damage increased. Ultimates just have too long of cooldowns and no real way to reduce them. I think ultimates need a way to have their cooldown reduced or something. Because the problem is right now, too many of them are on too long of a cooldown and just aren't good. I mean, I know what they want. They want you to just press the fun button and you just go, yay! And then everyone goes, pew, 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 and everyone dies and you go, yay! But part of the problem fundamentally with that, look, after you add in all the aspect stacking, the build stacking, all this different stuff, you can get your right clicks. I'm not saying you can out damage your ultimate with a left click, but I think a lot of times you can get them damn near close enough that, like, using an ultimate is practically not even worth your time. Barbarian suffers from this immensely, which is why I'm also shocked Barbarian's not getting nerfed a little bit. At the very least, their shouts and Fury Gen, maybe, Blizzard. Okay. Passives, close quarters combat. Damage bonus increased from 20% to 30%. Okay. Legendary aspect, escape artist. Cooldown decreased from 100 to 45. I don't know what that is, but at 100 seconds cooldown, it was useless. So I'll figure it out later. Umbrus, lucky hit chance to gain a dark shroud increased from 30 to 50 to 40 to 60. Cool. Eyes in the dark, increased death trap cooldown reduced from 30 to 15 to 20 to 15. So if you low roll, you don't get screwed as bad. Whatever. Okay, let's look at Sorcerer. Now, from what I understand, Sorcerer had the issue where they only had one good late game build, but also their other good builds required them to get in close, but obviously Sorcerers aren't tanks, so they quickly ran into the issue where they needed to run in close to enemies, at which point they got one shot, but then, like, if they didn't run in close, they didn't do much damage. So it was just kind of a weird conundrum where they were effectively a really squishy melee class. Okay. Spark, base damage increased from 8 to 10. Enhanced spark damage increased substantially. Flickering spark, chance increased from 3 to 4. Okay. Spark was so goddamn useless. It's good that they're increasing its damage by a good, like, 20. They're literally increasing its damage by 25%, by the way. Spark was so goddamn useless. I cannot fathom how anyone put this skill in the game and actually thought anyone would use it. It's like Rabies. It is so goddamn bad. Rabies dot went up by 50%, and my thoughts are, no one's going to use that shit. This thing's damage went up by 25%, and I'm still thinking to myself, is anyone going to use it? But okay, they did buff its base damage, enhanced spark got buffed, and flickering spark got buffed. So maybe between these three buffs, it becomes useful. Maybe. I mean, who's to say? I'm not a Diablo expert, right? Frostbolt, base damage increased from 35 to 38%. Cool. I mean, damage is damage. Fireball, burning damage increased from 40 to 45%. I thought Fireball, was Fireball their good build? I'm pretty sure it was fire, right? It was some jank build. So, Well, buffing Frostbolt is good. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Who knows? Wait, was Frostbolt the one that was really overpowered in the mid-game, though? It just didn't scale? Maybe. Charge Bolt, base damage increased from 28 to 30%. Incinerate, base damage increased from 49 to 54%. This ability was once again so goddamn useless. Enhance Incinerate's damage increased from 15 to 25%. Greater Incinerate's immobilize requirement reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. Incinerate got triple buffed, and once again, this is what I was talking about earlier. The balance in this game at present is so goddamn bad that I look at this and my exact thoughts are, who will use this? It is so bad. It's not that it's just like bad. It's not that it's just like undertuned, so to speak. It's that like they literally give some of these abilities just such nothingness. Like there's just no reason to use them ever. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it did get triple buffed. Maybe between the three of them being triple buffed, I mean, a damage increase, and damage increase could add up, right? Fireball, mana cost decreased from 40 to 35. Once again, wasn't Fireball good? Oh no, wait, Firebolt was their left click. I'm thinking the wrong thing. Firebolt was their left click. Fireball is their right click. But Fireball, wasn't that the good one? Frozen Orb, initial base damage increase from... Okay, so greater Frozen Orb chance to apply vulnerable from 25 to 30. Okay, so Frozen Orb, I believe people were complaining about that being bad, but part of the issue, in my opinion, with complaining about skills being good or bad, in my opinion, is that often people don't actually know what they're doing. For example, people kept complaining that Hammer the Ancients was over-nerfed, and now Hammer the Ancients is running around and, you know, doing 10 million damage, literally. So, Frozen Orb, though, I think was actually bad. I'm pretty sure. Blizzard, base damage increase. Blizzard is stupid. Really, really bad. Bad. Just Blizzard is awful. Terrible. Absolute shit. Ice Blades, chance to apply vulnerable increase from 30 to 40%. So it seems like they're trying to give mages more chances to apply vulnerable, which is weird because some classes still can't apply vulnerable at all. I would hope they would address the vulnerable issue, which I'm not going to go into. Lightning Spear. Summon Lightning Spear's maximum damage increased from 100 to 160%. Cool. Crackling Energy, base damage increased from 15 to 20%. Cool. Freezing Wake, base damage increased from 60 to 110%. Okay, so it seems most of their buffs were on lightning. Most of their buffs were on the lightning build and on the frost build. A little weird buff to the fireball. Fireball was a good one, wasn't it? Or am I crazy? I could be crazy. But energy, chance to change to an additional enemy increase from 20, 30 to 30, 40. Okay, so that's a lightning late game build. Singed Extremities, slow amount increased from 25 to 35 to 40 to 60. I'm assuming that's a frost build. Sorry, I don't know every aspect's name from every class, and I would bore you guys to tears if I read through them all. If you know them, great. Incendiary, chance to restore mana, increase from 5 to 10 to 12 to 70%. Significant increase to its chance to restore mana. I'm not sure I agree with their constant buffs on mana generation. I'm going to be blunt. Snow Guard, damage reduction increased from 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. I guess that gives snow builds tankierness, right? While within your own blizzard, you take less damage. Yeah, that's snow build tankiness. Concentration, mana regeneration increased. Items, flame scar, flat damage increased. Sorry. Okay. I'm assuming that's a fire item. Damage reduction reduced. Is this the only nerf in the entire patch? The only nerf in the entire patch is to a sorcerer item? That's funny. That is funny. Well, that's it for the patch. Major changes. Most left clicks are still going to be bad, in my opinion. I think Druid Claw definitely got helped out a lot. Druid Shred also got... So, in total, I think Druid Werewolf got the best buffs here, maybe. Hurricane also got a pretty good buff. I'm going to be honest, I don't think Barbarian really got anything different. Frenzy into Double Swing definitely got buffs. Like that's helpful. I just don't know how helpful it's really going to be. Necromancer got some things, but nothing really spoke to me here. I could be wrong, but nothing really spoke to me here. I didn't see anything here and think, wow. Yeah. Rogue and Sorcerer, I didn't really see anything either. Overall, I mean, it's just basically a bunch of changes. Changes are helpful. Changes are good. People like changes. I like changes. So it definitely helps things, but in effect, I don't know how much it's going to do. It'll probably help. The lesser performing builds will be lesser performing, so that's good. So there we go. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye, everybody.